My name is Tom Drewhard. I'm a general surgeon at Tuba City Regional Healthcare Corporation in Tuba City. And for the past 6 months, I've been trying to get out into the community and get the message out that we have a problem with meth. I came onto this problem last summer when I noticed younger people in Tuba speaking about a chemical called glass that they were smoking. And I hadn't heard of glass before, but I asked the kids what the effects were, and by their description it was some sort of an upper drug. So I looked it up on the internet and found out that it was methamphetamine. This really alarmed me because I knew that methamphetamine was a dangerous drug, and by the number of people that were talking about it, I realized that it must be quite common in Tuba. So I began interviewing high school students who I had contact with, and it came to be that approximately 25% of high school aged children had been exposed to the drug. This is according to many, many sources. Now I've also spoken with criminal investigators and with FBI, and they confirm that here on the reservation their suspicions are that up to 25% or more of children have been exposed to the drug. In further discussing the situation with kids in Tuba, every single kid knows what glass is, and glass is what it's called here on the reservation. Every young person knows what glass is. Most of them know where to get it. They've also told me that the substance has been sold in the restrooms of the public high school and the Gray Hills High School here in Tuba, and they also state that it's been smoked in those same restrooms. So it appears to me that the stuff blew up over last summer. Knowing that, we called a conference of all the educators in Tuba, the superintendents, the principals, the drug counselors, and the media. We had a large conference in March and set some goals that we try to reach every high school age kid in Tuba by the time school let out, to describe to them what the drug actually was and what the dangers of using the drug were. To that end, the high school brought in teams from Phoenix. I covered Gray Hills, and we also, myself and 2 other physicians, covered parent-teacher groups in the various high schools down to the grade school levels. In these conferences, we describe how the drug's used, what its toxic effects are, what the effects on the activities of children are, and we also describe the dangers of the drug. We have given parents alerts as to how their children may be acting on the drug. It's been very interesting because many community members, as we describe the activities of people on the drug, it's like a light goes off in their head and suddenly they say, that's what the problem was, referring to either their own children or to persons in their extended families. In my field of work, remember I'm a general surgeon, so it's really not logical that I should be doing meth education. But what alarmed us in Tuba was that our emergency room began seeing large numbers of patients who were screening positive for meth. And these were patients who were involved in strange accidents or who had accidents that weren't really explained by the story that we were being given, or in patients whose behavior was a little bizarre. So we began doing more screenings, and what we found was that we were turning up quite a few cases of meth. Since then, it seems to me that every other trauma I have, every other stab wound, every other assault is related to meth, either the victim being on it or the assailant being on it. Barely a day goes by that we don't have at least one case relating to meth in the hospital. Now, I've also, we've become sensitized to this, and most of us, where we used to just ask about alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana, are now asking patients about meth, and we're getting a surprising number of people who are telling us that they indeed are or have been using meth. A particular problem in Tuba City are pregnant mothers who are using meth and young mothers who are using meth. We've seen that the drug is a peculiar drug in that about 1/2 of the users are female, whereas most other drugs have a male predominance in the use. This creates special problems because the mothers that are using the drug tend to neglect their children to the point where other family members have to basically swoop in and take care of the children, or in circumstances where there's not a supportive extended family, the Child Protective Services actually have to come and take the children away. My concern about this is that with chronic meth use, people appear to have permanent brain damage and permanent personality disorders. And to me, this spells problems for the next 50 years in these families, because these children will not receive the love and care that they need to grow into healthy adults if the mothers or the parents are affected by methamphetamine. You know, unfortunately, I've had some personal experience with methamphetamine, and as I said, I know quite a few young people, and I've seen the personality changes that occur with meth, and what it is a complete turning upside down of the relationship that you've had with that person. There was one person I knew, a young man who was very honest, very intelligent, never lied to me, and then beginning on one day, never told me the truth again. The physical activities of people that are on it consist of hyperactivity, talkativeness, activity throughout the all hours of the night, and hanging out with perhaps unsavory people. The meth use is a social thing, as drug use often is, and oftentimes 3 or 4 young persons will go to use meth together. I think that's one of the things that makes it hard for kids to get off the stuff, is, as with other substance abuse, it's tied into their friendships and their local networks. The few cases that we've actually gotten to treat and gotten off of meth have required that the persons basically isolate themselves from their former friends. You know, I know that meth blew up in the past year in Tuba. In retrospect, when we look back 4 or 5 years, we were seeing meth cases. One of my first experiences with meth was an assault case where a woman had been stabbed 9 times through the chest, and of course she didn't survive the assault. Another involved a case where a man shot 3 different women in one episode. Those, in retrospect, I'm told by criminal investigation, were cases in which meth had been used. With regard to what we're seeing in the hospital, we've seen such strange things as hypertension in 12-year-olds. We've seen the loss of an 8-month fetus. We've seen miscarriages. We've seen fatal heart attacks in people in their 30s, which they could not recover, could not be brought back with CPR. So those are some of the more dramatic medical effects. We've also seen cardiomyopathies in young persons, meaning that person will require a heart transplant sometime in their life as their heart slowly gives out. We see innumerable induced psychotic episodes in which patients come in and have to be treated as though they were mentally ill. We've also seen addiction in persons as young as 16 that had to be hospitalized long-term inpatient in order to survive their addictions. We have to tell the truth and then rely on our children being intelligent enough to make wise choices.